And we back. I appreciate everybody we've had on in the past. We're gonna try to keep having guests on the show. And today is someone who I've known for a long time, and I'd like to introduce him just straight off rip. This is Mike Lergier, kinfolk to Soundbank Beats, the homie Gary. I'd like to welcome you to the show to start off. Thanks for coming on, and we look forward to getting into some insight about who you are and what you do, which is part of the ground of the show.
Thank you.
So welcome on the show, sir.
I'm happy to be here, and thank you guys. I really appreciate and I admire what you guys are doing. I'm a big fan, honestly.
Appreciate you. Man, that's dope. I appreciate that. It was cool to hear that you had checked out what we've done before, and that it was something that you wanted to be a part of. So that's super dope. I know, like Joe said, you're related to Gary. I met Gary also. Like, we used to play basketball together back in the day, like before we even really knew each other. You know what I mean? I just kind of figured out it was him because he said that he was the one that used to always bring the big speaker. And I remember that guy, you know what I'm saying? I remember there was a guy that would bring a big speaker. He would always play like good hip hop music. And when he was like, yeah, I used to come with this guy and I would bring the speaker. When he said I'll bring the speaker, I'm like, oh, okay, I remember you.
Nice. Yeah, we always need that music in the court whenever possible, and it helps.
Yeah. And you're Mike, you're a big basketball fan, right? You're a Magic fan too?
Definitely. Yeah, I'm a big Magic fan. I played ball my whole life, and we have a good group of friends. Me and my brother, Joe. You know a lot of them. Jared and Domain.
Domain too, yeah. Mm-hmm. And so here's a funny story to kick it off about how Mike and I met, right? Basketball. So my parents put me in FBVA, right, which was like pre-junior Magic, right? And I'm on Mike's team. This is years before I even knew Gary existed. We're on the same team, dude. And Mike was a star, legit the star of the team. Whatever you do, no, bro, you were the star. Whatever you do, you get the ball to Mike. We had like a fat Scott Skiles like as our coach during the time. He looked just like that, right? If you can remember that. So I get a shot in, my first shot, right, of the whole season. And then I play defense, we get back at Mike, and they let me inbound the ball. Number one, worst mistake right there. I run the ball down the court. I cross the half court line and I'm shook. I don't know what to do. So what I do, I look for Mike. He's in the backcourt. I don't know what I'm doing. I pass it to him in the backcourt. He has to do like a long jump, catch the ball, and like extend his feet to get to the half court line, which he didn't make it. And they called the backcourt violation. And everybody's looking at me and I got benched. And that was the rest of my season right there.
Dang.
And I remember Mike looked at me like,
what age was that?
Bro, I was like, I probably was in fifth, and Mike, you're a couple years ahead of me.
Probably, yeah. I graduated 2000 from UHS.
Yeah, so I graduated 2002. So I was in fifth, and you were like in seventh grade.
Seventh.
Yeah, and he looked at me, and he was like. So then years down the line, I meet Gary, get to know Gary. Meet Gary's family. I'm like, oh shit. But my lucky he didn't remember, but
I don't really remember. But yeah, I mean, I think thankfully my parents always we had a basketball court in our driveway, so it's something that it gave us an advantage when we played these little leagues and things, especially younger, because we always would play, so we already had good shots and stuff. So it's all thanks to my parents and giving us a hoop. But that's funny. I don't remember.
Like you know how it is. You know how it is, man. We don't remember the sorry ballers.
Yo, and I used to go to Wentworth. I used to go to what's that spot on Avalon? I mean on Alafaya. And I would just suck the loft, but I was a good passer. After I learned how to pass to the backcourt, I was a good passer. So I was like Stockton, rebound pass.
That was probably your past origin story right there when you passed that ball to Mike and you were like, this can't happen again.
I went home and I started training. I was like, no, but Mike and I have a good history. Gary and I have a good history. And that's what I kind of want to talk to you. So just, walking through just growing up and seeing Mike evolve and seeing him go through like the educational route and establish a career path. And Mike, I just kind of want you to see how you started, you know, post graduation and your views on life, and then kind of how you transition to where you are today.
Yeah, I'm gonna start going, but stop me anytime because it's
Yeah.
a longer ish story. But yeah, focus me or change, whatever you need
I
to do.
got you.
But yeah, I graduated high school like any kid. You go to college. Went to Valencia, the community college, then to the UCF. I really didn't know what to do. Nothing really grabbed me. Like I really, even till very recently, I didn't know what I wanted to do in life. So I just basically told them when I was at UCF, I'm like talking to the counselors. I'm like, just give me the most simplest like a degree. So I got a liberal studies degree. But I always got the
What does that
school.
mean, a liberal studies degree, and what do you mean like a simple degree? What does that mean? I didn't go to college, so I have no clue.
Uh,
So
Liberal studies is when you don't know what the hell you're doing. That's what they give you. It's a little of everything. They just put you on all. They give you a little of all the topics since you don't know if you want to be an engineer or a scientist. Like you're not focused, so they give
Kind
you
of a
like a
jack of all
broad,
trades.
right,
Mhm.
like a broad
So they put
degree.
you in like classes of everything, basically.
Yeah, I got communication and
Yeah,
marketing,
I never knew what
statistics.
liberal arts was. That makes sense now.
Yeah, yeah. They make fun of it. It's made fun of a lot because yeah, it's unfocused. You don't know what you do in life, basically. um, but I was lucky enough. I always worked for the community college. I went to Valencia, so I started as a part timer, and then but when I got my degree, I just stayed with the education, and I was got all the way up to operations manager. So I managed the operations of a whole campus for over 10 years, Valencia. So I was one of the like the third from the top from the provost, which is like principal for a college, like the third down. So I was making good money, great benefits, and it's a government job, so pension and all that good stuff. I was with that company for 20 years, but yeah, I mean, when you do management, the stress is high. Like I would sit in my office and I would be like, man, look at how beautiful this day is, and I got to sit in this office looking at this computer. And that was part of kind of one. I said I need to do something different. Like I don't want to be stuck in this office my whole life. I don't care if I'm making the money and all this stuff. It's not fulfilling me when there's a whole life out there that I'm looking out the window and I'm missing out on. So that was kind of one of the
Was
things.
real quick, was it something that gradually built over those 20
Yeah,
years? Okay,
yeah,
so and
definitely.
then one day you woke up and you're like, nah, I can't do this no more.
Yeah, and then the other thing too is I had my basically right after high school I met my ex-wife, so started dating and just been in a 12-year relationship basically with her. So my whole 20s I was in a relationship, great, amazing person. I loved her a lot. Um, but also like once I got to like my early 30s, I realized, man, I've been living life for others or the way the system has been bringing me up. So I went to college the way everybody told me. I got a girlfriend the way everybody told me. um, I got a house. I bought a brand new house right after the market crash in 2008. So I got a great price in Avalon. Um, and I had lived a cookie cutter like standard American life, like school, college, girlfriend, wife. But I never like at no point that I take a look at myself like, is this fulfilling me? Is this my path? Is this what I want to do? Is this a person I want to be with? And one day I just literally I got out of work, I started crying. Like just tears started coming down my eyes. And then I was feeling like anger and like this mix of rage and things like that. So I basically started studying. Like I started going to counseling and trying to doing some introspection and deep thinking about me and who I am. It was the first time in my life I ever did that. So I realized around there that I had just been, the programming we receive as we're young, like I was just executing those programs. I was never like consciously living my life.
Yeah, you're
So
not
that
doing it
was
for
like
you.
that was like the big turning point
So
around 32.
when you thought to yourself that you should seek counseling and you started going to counseling, what was something that really stood out to you from the counseling that kind of let you know that it was a good idea for you to go?
It wasn't the counseling. The counseling just wanted me to be it was they just it was just religion. They're like, go join a church.
Oh wow.
That was a join a church. You gotta find God. You gotta find God. It was that. We did couples counseling too, and it was all that. You guys gotta just. It was all. That's basically what they told me. So I didn't get much from it, to be honest. But I did. We tried for a year. I wanted to try everything. Like I was like I don't want to like be have my ego stop
So
me
did you
from.
try different counselors, or you just try counseling with like one person or one
Yeah,
company or something?
it was one person, but even then, they did give us some exercises and things on how to work through things. And just from that, I kind of know, okay, I can take this basic knowledge and I'm going to do it myself. And I filled up notebooks with my thoughts and my feelings and things like that. And I just needed like the little spark to kind of know what or how to like start learning about yourself and what makes you happy and things like that. And I took it. And the internet, like YouTube has 20 times better counselors than most of these paid counselors. A lot of them they have agendas and they just know what they were taught. They don't, have sometimes your best interests. I found also. So with YouTube and
Mhm.
just doing my own research and things like that, I was able to really find out who I was and make
So
drastic changes to my life.
did that part influence who you are today? Because you're kind of in that kind of line of
What do you mean?
helping people find the right kind of therapy and the right kind of healing and answers.
Yeah, I found out I was miserable. Like even though I had a house, I was probably like Jared still tells me, one of my best friends, like I was the first of his friends to buy a house, like and get married. I was probably one of the first ones. So like we had like the perfect like relationship. Everybody would tell us like, you guys are like the quintessential couple. Like
Yeah,
everybody looked
no,
up
no,
to
I
us my
remember
whole
that. I
20s.
remember that too.
Like we were together 10, 20, 12 years. Very loyal to each other.
Mhm.
Overall, and we loved each other. But um, I realized it doesn't matter if I'm not happy. It doesn't matter,
Yeah.
and I would sweep, like what we do is we sweep things under the rug subconsciously, just to like obviously make the appearance that we're doing great.
Hmm.
Everything in life is perfect. We just sweep it under the rug. We don't even think about it sometimes, and it blows up, and that's what happened. It blew up at a point, and it sucks because I was already 12 years married. We have a house.
Yeah.
Like it destroys you. And I think a lot of it, like these midlife crisis and things like that, when we don't live life like authentically and to our
Bro,
true
that is Lester's mantra. Live in your
yeah,
truth,
yeah,
everything around you in your truth, and then that's it.
yeah.
Like that's
And then
big.
I was like, the thing is, I was so worried about what everybody would think. Every move I made when I was young, it was just, what would people think of me? What would people think of me? Like that's all I had in my head is the perception of others. And I just had to flip that around to I'm gonna be what makes me, and if whoever accepts it, accepts it. Whoever doesn't want to accept it, screw them. Like it doesn't matter. Like they're not helping me. They're not with me. They're
Yeah.
they're not making me happier. So why am I wasting a second of my time or my life or my energy, like worrying about what others could possibly, were thinking of me? Like let me do me. And a lot of things, the way I live my life is very backwards to a lot of people and offensive. Honestly, some people
Hmm.
get offended. It makes me happy, and to me, it's closer to our nature and our natural way
No,
of
so
that we
that's
live.
perfect transition now to where you are today. So you got all that insight, you got the foundational knowledge from those therapy sessions, and you took that and ran with it and established your own terms. And then you're like, you know what? I think this is what I want to do from now on. And that let's talk about that. When did that click?
Yeah, right after that, a year or two, then the counseling that did all of that. Then said, this ain't for me. Start getting divorced, selling the house.
So you
Um,
chose to just I'm moving forward. I'm just moving
yeah,
forward, making the decisions, take that step because a lot of people
yep.
think about it for so long and never take it. And
Man, it
then once
was
you
tough,
take it,
man.
that's when you start stepping into your reality and stepping into the truth of what you got to do.
Yeah, and it was super tough because when you were somebody you love and you built your whole life basically with and this image and everything's perfect, like it was super tough. So that was the first thing, is getting divorced and getting my personal life happy. Like I like my thing is like no bucket list. It's like the hashtag I always try to put.
Yeah.
Team no bucket list. Like I don't want to have a bucket list when I die. Like even now, like that was the thing. I had a million things that I wish I would do, but I was too scared to act on it. So I said, no, I'm gonna do every single thing, every fantasy I have, every desire, every wish, everything. Like I only have one life. Like what am I? I'm sitting here, I'm 30 something, I'm wasting it. Um, I, I, so I just said, I'm doing what I want to do. I wrote it all down, like, and I crossed them all out. Like, and within 2 or 3 years, I had done every single thing. And it was the most fulfilling thing in the world. Like I was,
Hmm.
like, it changed my life.
That's super
And
dope.
now you're coming in live from Puerto Rico, and I don't know if you guys got birds or that's coquis in the background.
If you hear something, it's cookies.
That's awesome. That's straight up Puerto Rican right there.
Yeah. So after the relationship thing, I did my own thing. Found another amazing my wife right now. Got married with her. We have a very similar like mentality. Like we live life by like what we
Free.
see, and a lot of it matches. Everything. We're very into like our natural path, our natural self. Like what's nature? Because I feel like a lot of like what we are taught is unnatural or backwards to how we should really be living to be our optimal selves. So I found her. We went down the same path as I did with the relationships. I went down the same path with the career. And I'm like, man, what am I doing? I'm sitting here supporting one of the same systems that taught me to be the way I was. So I'm here in education, teaching people, and I'm reading. Every person gets the same book. Every person gets the same this and that. So we're becoming programmed, robots in a lot of ways. Even though I'm not saying it's all bad, and we do need jobs, and doctors need to know things, so they have to read books and whatnot. But it didn't really align with what I wanted to do.
Yeah, everybody doesn't have to stick to the script.
Yeah, and
yeah. Even kind of going off of what you're saying there, like I've said it before on the show too. Like I kind of feel like we've gone past a certain point where like we're doing more damage than good. Like as humans, you know what I mean? Like it's like we're going even now with like the artificial intelligence. Like they're talking about starting to create a lot of art with that. It's like, come on, man. Like why would you even think that that's a lane that we can go down? You know what I mean? Like you're trying to take every human element out of everything. Like
right,
100%. Yep.
Yeah, it's almost like the whole world is just everything's going, digital, electronic, like even everything. Like we can get into more. Like I started realizing the food I was eating, like it went into everything, and it's like
and that's what I want to get in because I really want to talk because your Instagram is Natural Instincts Coaching, right?
Yeah.
And so you consider yourself a health and mental like a natural, like holistic view kind of guide, right? Like how do you describe what you see yourself as?
And a lot of this is still it's a work in progress. I'm starting it.
Yeah.
I haven't made a cent from it yet, but I'm grinding. And it's like a life coaching, health coaching, just helping people like be healthier, just more find out who you are. Basically what I went through. Find out who you are, what makes you happy. How to be natural, how to not worry so much about other people think. Just having a more holistic happier natural life, like really.
So as somebody that you pretty much already had a whole life in the quote unquote normal way, you have that reference of you know how you felt and how you were living at that time, and you know how you feel and how you're living now. Like how would you explain that that's valuable to somebody? Because I know exactly what it is that you're talking about. You know what I mean? Like there's sometimes people don't understand that they're in a trap, you know what I mean? And it's kind of crazy. It's like when you see people kind of in that cycle and see that humanity has been sucked out of them and they don't even know it.
That's the hardest part, man. That's the hardest part, because you don't realize it. Like even then, when I was back then, you couldn't tell me none of this. Like I would have been like, "Are you crazy? I'm the happiest person ever. I go home, I play video games all day, I listen to music, I watch movies." But I didn't realize like I was numbing myself. I was using the distractions and entertainment like to an excess of to excess. So I wasn't really living either. It was all entertainment, digital, like
that's a major point, brother. That's a major point.
And it's fun. I enjoy movies and games, and I think it should be. We live in a world where it exists, so we have to interact. I think I went also a little too the other way. Like there was a point where I was like, I don't want to play any games. I don't want to do any of that. Like it was all too like natural.
Yeah, you try to go too much cold turkey.
I think so, and I think it's a natural way of like, man, like when I was so hurt doing this that I went like too far the other way. Now I'm trying to find a better balance of still just enjoying the the regular society things, and just also, hey, there's another way. There's a more fulfilling, authentic way of living, and you can still do those some of those things, but a better balance. But yeah, it's the hardest thing is to try to that's what I struggle with the most. Like, how do I communicate to somebody that's probably gonna go through the same thing? Like, how do I kind of wake them up or just plant a seed in their head that
Yeah.
what what you're doing is what your probably your parents taught you, which their parents taught them, and it's programming that's been coming from generations that nobody's actually sat and looked at some things and issues and said, is this to the benefit of us, or is this to the benefit of the system, to
Yeah.
society, to the
And you
people
know
making
what? That reminds me of a conversation Lester and I had cross communication on. He said sometimes your surrounding could be so negative against you and you don't even realize it. And there's almost nothing you can't do about it until you realize that shit.
Yeah, if you look at it, I mean, if people grew up in poor communities, that's all they know. That's why they end up being, bad guys. They're not bad. They're just trying to make money, but they don't know any different. It's amazing how we can't see past what we can touch. Especially as we're growing up as kids, like we can't see further. Which the internet's obviously making it incredibly. We're making incredible strides. I think the internet has shown how we can be, you know, bigger than what we see our societies, our communities, our whatever, our families
Yeah.
that maybe are toxic and whatnot. You can see other ways for those that are um, can at least open their mind to seeing other possibilities.
Yeah.
And I've met a few people like young, like 24, 25-year-old people here that are like
Yeah.
ready at
Let's
this
talk about that. So
level.
was the move to Puerto Rico kind of that kind of a supplement to that natural kind of lifestyle and living? And
Yep, yeah. And one thing, okay, so the other thing, so I went through again step by step, relationships, work. The next thing was buying a house. Buying a house over there is what it's like $1,000. I started doing research on like mortgage means your death sentence or something. I think in Latin it translates to death sentence, like
no
a
way.
mortgage.
The
Yeah,
word
like
mortgage?
yeah.
No way. Y'all knew
It's got
that?
like a meaning. It's got some crazy meaning like
Nah.
that. I'll, I'll send it to you guys afterwards. But yeah, just Google mortgage and put like Latin there. It translates to like death sentence or something like
No,
that.
that's wild.
And basically, we got to slave away at working, these 9 to 5 or even more hours just to pay, just to live. So I did some research of where best places to live, more inexpensive places to live, but even like the countrysides of America didn't it was too expensive. So I realized time is more important than anything, like time freedom. So the whole point of moving over here is super cheap compared to America. So
Which part are you in? Which part of Puerto Rico?
it's called Las Marias. So it's in the west coast where it's more it's just nature. It's in the mountains. It's kind of there's no Walmart. My town doesn't have a McDonald's, no Walmart,
Oh,
but
wow.
it's super cheap to live because it's not a big city. It's not a big city. It's almost Puerto Rico. It's very poor country overall. Like they don't make a lot, so the house prices are also very inexpensive. So it's really a creative way in a way to have a very very inexpensive. Like I pay fractions of what a mortgage is over there. It's fractions of it here.
Yeah.
And on top of that, it's a lot of nature, the beautiful beaches and rivers and
Yeah, I see all the stuff
waterfalls.
you post. It's just like it's like a vacation getaway every single drive you make.
Yeah, and over there, I also realized like to do anything you pay, especially like in Orlando, you want to go to do something fun, you gotta pay. You gotta go to iDrive, you gotta go to Disney. You can't just go spend a whole day doing amazing fun things with your friends or family or your significant other or by
Yeah.
yourself
Even if you go to the
for
Springs, you
free.
got to pay for that shit. Yeah.
Probably, yeah, for parking. Yeah, over here you can do so much stuff and it's free. It's good for you. You're getting exercise. You're connecting with nature. You're getting sun. So that attracted me once I started learning. Like, man, we should be more connected with nature. We gotta be more grounded in what are we as humans. Like we forget. We think we live in these big cities. We think we're just like almost a digital thing. Almost they've gotten us thinking like we're really animals. Like we should be out here in nature. We should be getting sun more. We should be getting more water, eating more like natural things like fruits and vegetables. Like a lot here, everything they got fruits. Too many people have too many fruits and vegetables in their yard.
That
They
they
be
give him
bringing them.
out.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they
that's
give it to
awesome.
our neighbors. We share it with each other. Like that's amazing to me. And then also if something happens, like I started learning about like the crash, like say the internet crashes or with these, digital things that are happening, like the stock market. Like it's been a bad year too. Like, but if there's the pandemic, another great example. Like if things happen that the supply chain stop, if the food stops coming to like the grocery stores at some point, like it's not a big deal here. I have fruit in my backyard all over. I have a spring water. My water I collect it like 10 minutes away. I go with gallons. I collect spring water, like natural spring water. So I don't even pay for water, and it's the most purest water from the earth too. So all that was, and it's cheaper to live. So all that attracted to me to it. Just all the
Yeah.
experiences I had, I'm like, man, this would be great. Um, so yeah, and then once now all I want to do, my next, like the last step is like, yeah, starting my own like consulting or like life coaching gig type of thing where I can work remote, and then I would love to like travel the world more because I honestly my payments here they're so minimal. I could use that money to
Yeah.
travel more, see people. Like I would love to go back to Orlando like multiple times a year to see my friends and family. Like I don't want to be over here just secluded. Like the plan is to
No,
like
and
be able
that's
to
dope,
travel
man. I've
more.
seen your progress. I've seen what you've been doing. Like I said, I've known you because, Gary and I are close. So I know everything about you as much as I know about him. And I love the progress you made. I kind of want to go in before we wrap up, go into now that you live there, you're a resident, you spent some time there. What do you notice about the influence of the island? And maybe kind of get into a little subject we've been talking about in the music and reggaeton and like that kind of influence you see that's different from the United States on the island of Puerto Rico.
I mean, oh, I'm surprised is like every month I have people hitting me up. Hey, I'm gonna be in Puerto Rico vacationing, all the time. Like the amount of people that come here on vacation and are looking for to do these kind of like nature experiences, and they want to get away from their hustle and bustle, and they all fall in love. They fall in love with the beaches, the people here. Like people here will give you like they're too nice. Like I say that like sometimes because they're just too nice, and they let sometimes like the government and stuff like run them over. Like
Mm.
there'll be no water for 3 days and nobody like says nothing. Like
Yeah, did you were you
there's
guys
no
there during the
progress.
hurricane?
No, not the Maria one, not the
Okay.
big one, not that one. No. But we had one this year that cut off water and electricity for a few weeks. We had to run off generators and our water like backup systems and things like that.
Yeah.
But people help each other out. Super good. But yeah, the services are super slow. People don't demand like improvement.
So
Like they're
this is
just
industrial stuff that's just behind then.
yeah, very much, very much
Oh,
behind. But that you have to know that. And we lived here. We came in 2019. We came for a year just to test it out, see if we could live. We knew it wouldn't be like the States. So the services and things like that are definitely a challenge. But overall, like some days the power go out, so we just go to the beach all day. Like
yeah.
it's how
And is
you.
everybody over there jamming, chilling?
What do you mean?
No, I want to talk about the music
Oh
because
yeah, yeah, yeah,
we're gonna wrap up. So we want to talk.
yeah.
I want to talk about the music influence and how Puerto Rico has changed, maybe because I'm not there. I don't know, but as the rise of reggaeton and how mainstream and big it is, how if any has that changed how the island reacts to it?
I know they like. I don't know if it's all you hear. Like you be in
Mm.
your house and all you hear is like reggaeton coming with the cars. Every car that goes by is reggaeton. So I've always been more of a like I grew up in the States, so I've been like more of a hip hop head. But now that I hear it so much, I've really started to connect more with the reggaeton music here, and I'm really starting to appreciate it and see like the artistic craft, like and yeah, like the Bad Bunny, he filmed his videos on a beach not far from my house, and now it's all like decorated. They put all his album artwork there. Now it's like a tourist spot, so people come sometimes here just to take pictures with the
There's
Bad
like
Bunny
murals and
part.
everything over there, right?
Yeah, in that beach. So you're starting to see it also like tourists now want to come just to like be at the place where this music's coming from and take pictures with some things like that, like the Bad Bunny beach and that kind of stuff. But
Is that the nickname, the Bad Bunny Beach?
that's what they call it now, yeah. But yeah, I mean, from here, I mean, to me, it's what I see worldwide and what I see. Like, I had a friend come from New Orleans the other day, and all she does is listen to reggaeton music and Bad Bunny, and it just blows my mind how far it's reached outside of Puerto Rico. That's what blows my mind. And when I see the YouTube videos and they're getting over 1 billion views, and that's international. Like, and most people don't know Spanish. It's not as a common language as English, where a lot of people know it around the world. So the way the music has progressed, like, it's connecting right now with like the whole world, and it's just spectacular to see.
Yeah, and you're there, and I'm from Puerto Rico. I was born in Puerto Rico actually too,
Oh yeah.
and you know exactly how small the island is. So just like
Yeah.
people really don't understand like how crazy it is for us as Puerto Ricans to see that reach because the island's so small. You know what I mean? It's not like these people are coming from a crazy place or nothing. Like Puerto Rico is super small, super small.
Yeah, without the resources that that some of the artists over there in the states and bigger places get, you to get that sound to spread that wide, probably not the marketing budgets aren't probably the same as all the other ones. Like, it has to come from really good music that connects with people for it to be hitting like it's hitting. So yeah, it's super impressive. And Bad Bunny, I know Bad Bunny's not for everybody, but I would say what he's doing is crazy. And just a few things from what I've noticed from this album, because I've listened. It's one of those albums where, like, and this rarely happens to me, where an album comes out and I listen to it like every day for months. Like, rarely does that happen anymore. Like, I just listen to an album here and there, and then I move on. Like, but this one has been one of those few albums that only like Jay and Nas and a few artists can connect with me with. And I still listen to things, and I still pick up lyrics and things that he's saying that I hadn't caught before. It's really deep. And the way he's one of the most creative things he's doing is he switches up the beats multiple times. So what I think he's doing is, like, people don't have the attention span nowadays to like listen to a 3-4 minute song with the same exact beat. So that beat is changing. If you really listen to it, that beat changes every minute or so. So it keeps the attention, and then he switches up the lyrics, even though it's the same theme. He's talking about it from a different perspective. So it's super, to me. It's very innovative. The sound, to me, is like the blueprint of this generation. That's what I call it. Just the sound, just like the blueprint changed it to like a more soulful, sped up samples sound. This one, even though it's got some Dominican influences, which you guys talked about a little bit now, it's got Dominican sound, it's got trap, it's got the reggaeton. So it and then it just has some like EDM, some electronic sounds to it too. Like, it's just a mix that's elevated, and it's very progressive. I think
that was like
it's hitting so hard right now because of that.
Sorry to interrupt, man. I was just gonna say that was actually my next the question that I had for all three of you, because me, I'm not really tapped into the reggaeton music. Like, I know some songs just from growing up and being around my friends and stuff like that and hearing them, but it's not something I'm heavily tapped into. But how would you explain the magnitude of growth of reggaeton from, I would say, early 2000s to now?
Yeah, it's spectacular. I mean, yeah, I remember being in middle school or high school. You would get, I would hear Daddy Yankee or Don Omar, and that's about all you would hear. And it kept getting bigger and bigger, and then ever since, yeah, I don't know.
You know what I think was a big part of it, and something that Nori takes credit for a lot, is for the collab and the crossover.
Yeah.
So when he came up with that, Boricua, Moren, like, that was a crossover. He brought reggaeton into hip hop, and that's what he credits himself for. So I think those continuous crossovers is the bridge.
Yeah,
that was the bridge. And
the crazy thing about reggaeton
cross
too is, like, it's such a young genre. Like, it started in the early 90s. You know what I mean? Depending on who you ask, they'll tell you different people. Some people say Vico C started it. Some people in like other countries say that they started it. It depends on who you ask, but most people say it started in Puerto Rico in the 90s. And just from when it hit in the early 2000s on a big level with Daddy Yankee, Don Omar, Tego Calderon. You know what I'm saying? When Arcangel came, once they started doing what they were doing, it's like, yo, this music hasn't even been around that long for it to be doing what it's doing.
Yeah, unless he was feeling that Archangel track, and Mike too. He sent me that thing too.
Yeah, and I think too, like, it's going now at the stage, like, like hip hop in the 80s, it was good, but it didn't have that reach yet. It was just starting. Like in the 90s, it was starting, but now it's got the reach where it's commercial enough that it can grab the attention of the whole world and the internet. Because before, Matt Daddy Yankee might get a contract and have the videos, but it was only very select couple artists that are going to be played really in the States. But now, like, if it's good, it's getting out there, and the whole world is finding it because YouTube is universal. So that's a big also reason.
Yeah, man, it's definitely a dope thing, and we're actually gonna try to get into that a little more because I know Quincy doesn't have too much background on it, but it's definitely something that we can get into even as far as the history of it, because reggaeton is a real interesting genre, and I really like reggaeton because I mean, I'm not a big fan of reggaeton personally, but I like the genre because they're a very supportive genre, like within themselves. You know what I mean? And it's always good to see that kind of thing where like artists are lifting each other up, producers, people will work together. It's really dope to see. So it's definitely something that I want to talk about later on.
Nice. Definitely glad to have you on, Mike. Mike is as music knowledgeable as I am. He has the history and the background and the ear. This is one
we got to
guy
get him on a review, man.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So, Mike, this might be the first of many. I know we could definitely have amazing music conversations because we've talked music our whole lives. So,
yeah, definitely
appreciate you coming on.
You're welcome. I'll just say real quick too about the Bad Bunny thing. I forgot to mention this, but because he's been very vulgar. You guys would mention it too. He's very vulgar and very like shallow in a lot of ways. But this new album too, towards the end of it, like he has some really, really deep songs and have more meaning than just like sex and like all the crazy shit. So I see him evolving. He's only like 23, 24, but he's maturing.
It's crazy how
He is
much
maturing.
great music he's put out even already. And like you said, he's still a young kid. You know what I mean?
Like his potential is huge, and more than just like he's standing up against the government. He's out there like cleaning the beaches. Like sometimes he'll come and he'll generate people to come and clean beaches because here's a big problem: people just throw trash everywhere on the beaches. So he's involved with social issues too. He doesn't really rap about shooting people or drugs and things like that. It's pretty positive overall, even though he is vulgar. So I became, and I didn't like him at first with the fingernails and the funny stuff. Like I'm not really into that, but his music has won me over.
Yeah. You've seen the impact firsthand too, what he's done to the country he's from. That's another thing. The islands he's from. It's different.
Yeah.
Like I said, you respect artists a little more when you see the impact they made across, generations of fans. So it's a little different insight and that same thing I've never seen, but definitely good to have the conversations about it. So I appreciate you giving us that.
Thank you. Sure. Thank you guys for letting me be on here. It was amazing. It was great. And much success to you guys, man.
Appreciate it, bro.
Thank you, bro.
Yep. Till next time. Stay grounded.
Stay better.